Jamie Thomas joining us to talk about it. JT, I appreciate the time on what must be a very busy time for you. And I didn't see the game last night. I was watching Florida-Montreal. So can you please tell me, how was it that the Sens fired 3 quick ones in to salt that game away last night? What happened?
Rod, like when you are thinking of urgency at this time of year for a team that needs to make the playoffs and needs the points, that was not what the Winnipeg Jets provided at all. They didn't get pucks behind the Ottawa Senators. They were trying to go across the ice. Ottawa is so good at pressuring. They forced mistakes. Whenever the Jets were trying to carry the puck through the neutral zone, they had somebody hounding them from behind at all times. So the plays were there to be made, but they were making the wrong choices. So there was a lot of turnovers last night. I think there was only 9 that they put on the score sheet, but I would probably think of at least 20. So it was a tough night that way. And all that urgency that you need or expect from a team that had won 2 in a row, kind of pulled themselves back in the conversation to possibly grab that last wildcard spot in the Western Conference, that urgency wasn't there at all. And so it was a disappointing effort, Rod, I guess is the best way to put it in. And now you dust that off and hope that you have a better response on against a Columbus Blue Jacket team that plays very similar to the way the Ottawa Senators do. They pressure you. They're all over you. They take away your time and space. So the Jets are going to have to completely doing the previous 2 games.
You know, just before we look ahead to tonight's game against Columbus, I just want to ask you this. What is it doing to your health and the Jets fans' health of this up and down like a toilet seat season? For instance, the other night, I'm watching the game. You don't have a shot for the first 15 minutes of the game. I'm like, oh, this is over. When Vegas turns it on, it's over. I went to bed. I get up the next morning and I'm like, the Jets won 4-0? Like, where's the consistency with this hockey team, Jamie? What are they saying about that? I can't believe what's coming out of my TV screen night after night.
Yeah, and you go back to both games that the Jets played against Vegas here on home ice, Rod. Like, they went 13 minutes without a shot on goal in the first meeting between Vegas about a week and a half ago, and then they almost come up with the exact same type of performance in the first period against Vegas on Tuesday. So what these games are, what you were watching the other night, is a microcosm of what the Jets have been like this year, up and down. And they're in the playoff conversation, and you would say that they kind of added and subtracted at the trade deadline on Monday. So they're not any worse or not any better, I guess, in some ways. They've added some draft capital with the trading of Andrew Kopp. You bring back a guy in Mason Appleton that you know what you're going to get. He's a straight line player. He's got a lot of speed. He knows the system the Jets run, so he's comfortable that way. And Zach Sanford, you've added some size and strength and a little bit more speed on for that third line. So they've been very inconsistent. And what has kind of saved them lately and brought them back in is Connor Hellebuck has looked like he has in the last 3 years or 4 years for the majority of his NHL career. Slow start this year. Now he's starting to look a little more comfortable between the pipes, and he kind of he did save them on Tuesday against Vegas. So you're hoping for that against the Ottawa Senators, didn't get it. And now you got to write that one off and hope that things and the message comes through a little bit more tonight in a game against the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Now remind me, because COVID has killed my memory.
Yeah,
is this the first? Is this the first return of Patrick Laine since the trade?
Yeah, it is. And of course, the Jets played Columbus earlier this season, so that was Pierre-Luc Dubois' return to Columbus. They got lots of boos. I don't think that's going to be the case here tonight. You know, a lot of people focus on it's Patrick Laine's return, but, you know, Jack Roslovic also was drafted and developed here in Winnipeg, played a long time with the Manitoba Moose, got some time with the Jets. And Pascal Vincent, who was the Manitoba Moose's head coach and was an assistant coach for the Jets, also returning tonight. But I can understand why the focus is there. Patrick Laine spoke for 15 minutes to the media here today, and it is a huge night. And, you know, COVID robbed us of Patrick Laine coming here last year. It was the Scotia North Division for 56 games, so you didn't get to see Patrick Laine. It's a big night, and he admitted today that he's a little nervous coming back here to step on the ice. But I can imagine it's been such a long time, Rod. I don't think there's any of that trickle down of emotions anymore, because he's been a part of the Columbus Blue Jacket organization for such a long time. He also lost his dad earlier this season, so there's a lot of other things going on. A lot more than just coming back to Winnipeg. But I still think this will be a huge night. I believe there's a quick ceremony going on, you know, the tribute video, but it'll be Patrick Laine, Jack Roslovic, and Pascal Vincent included in that tribute.
I was just going to ask if, as a Jets employee, if you had any intel. No, who was if there would be a video, who was the player a couple of weeks ago? Was it Mark Mathod or Andrew Raycroft? Somebody tweeted these videos are getting out of control in the NHL, and maybe they are. I don't know. But Laine is due one, is he not, for what he did in Winnipeg?
Oh, like he's electric. He was electric here, really. Like he brought. Look at his rookie season. There's that overtime winner against the Toronto Maple Leafs on Wednesday Night Hockey. It was, you still hear Dennis Beck going, "Scott!" like just losing his mind over that one. And there's the 44-goal season. There was the 5-goal game in St. Louis, Rod. Like there's just so many big moments that Patrick Laine brought. And he was loved here. It just didn't work out because of if you could look at anything, I think you look at this as a trade, as a hockey trade. The Jets got a very good player in Pierre-Luc Dubois, who will be the cornerstone of this franchise for a very long time. Patrick Laine is happy to be in Columbus, and Jack Roslovic is kind of rounding into form as a solid winger and center, bottom six kind of guy right now. So I just hard to look at this trade and say anybody won it, because you just have 3 good players changing locations, and I think everybody's a lot happier because of it.
Let me just ask you this, and then I have a brief CFL question that you can handle. You don't even need to be up on CFL stuff. It has to do with history. But I know you're in a tough spot on the radio crew, but it just it seems like the Jets are missing something. You must wonder at times what it is, and but you're not the general manager. Yeah. That's not your job. But just the expectations were so high this year, Jamie, and here they are where they are. What's been missing, do you think, in your estimation?
I think we touched on it earlier, Rod, like consistency. Like some nights they look like the team that Kevin Cheveldayoff put together. And I don't think any of this should fall on the shoulders of Kevin Cheveldayoff and the management crew. They put together a team. They needed to improve their back end. They did that. You have 2 very strong lines. Your top 6 is as good as anybody in the league. You have a Vezina Trophy winner between the pipes. So why shouldn't things go well? Well, you can look at little things. You can look at the season stopping and starting in December, the COVID rules up north of the border, not allowing fans in the building. So thus management ownership decides that you can put those games a little bit later on the schedule. So they went long, they go 12 days without a game. It was really hard to get momentum. They played on the road a bunch. COVID hit the team, 2 guys here, 3 guys there. So it was very hard to ice a full lineup night in and night out. So I don't think those are excuses. They're just reasons. And that's just the way things are rolled. And flat out, Connor Hellebuyck did not look like the guy that we've known and loved for a long time through the first 3 years. And I think he's played a lot, so it's not a knock on him. He just wasn't at the guy that we've known over the years. So I'm not saying it all, Rod. It's not controversial. I'm not saying he was terrible. He just was not at the level that we've seen in years past. And I believe he's kind of got back to that level now. We'll just see if it's too little too late. So I just want to be clear. I'm not completely blaming on Connor Hellebuyck. There's a lot of Mark Scheifele got off to a slow start. Blake Wheeler got off to a slow start. Both of them had COVID at the beginning part of the year. There's just so many factors factoring in here. And we shouldn't leave out Paul Maurice stepping down, and it shocked everybody. And I think it took a lot of the players in that dressing room to kind of adapt to the fact that Paul Maurice was not the head coach, because he had been here for so long and built such a strong relationship with so many of the players in that dressing room.
Wonderful answer, Jamie, by the way. And yeah, so you pinpoint what the problem is, lack of consistency. Now it's up to the powers to be to figure out how do you address that, and that ain't our job. Yeah. But I can tell you this, Jamie, what I love about this job of mine is to talk to guys like yourself, and Ryan Leslie was on the other day from Sportsnet Flames, and I was talking about the truculent coaches you have to interview. In his case, Daryl Sutter. And he kind of rolled his eyes and said, you see Daryl's getting going viral with his clips. And I remember that day, you either text me or email me, and you're like, I got to interview Ken Austin today. And I don't know what, times weren't great in Hamilton at that time. You're like, what do I ask this guy, right? And I'm like,
I know.
Where does that rate with the toughest interviews you've ever done? It is not easy, man, especially interviewing a head coach when things aren't necessarily going too great.
How about this? I got a great one. Jim Playfair, when he was head coach of the Calgary Flames, it was my first year of hosting, and we always got the coach coming off the ice in the first intermission. And the camera wasn't ready, and the producer wasn't ready, and Jim came off, and I think the Flames were down 2-0 to Arizona, or then Phoenix, and like Jim's like, let's go, let's F and go, let's F and go here, and I'm going to the producer, Jim wants to go here. So that was a moment of uncomfortability that I hadn't been a part of before. And then my other favorite one is Mike Keenan wouldn't do interviews unless he had the score sheet. So I know he just wanted to be up to date on everything. But I sat there and tap danced in Columbus. Was only down 1-0 for 7 minutes, waiting for the score sheet. Apparently the printer had broken down in Columbus, so Mike didn't come out. So I tapped danced. So it wasn't a tough interview, Rod. It was just an awkward situation where I was not prepared to tap dance for 5 minutes waiting for the head coach of the Calgary Flames. So we've all been in awkward positions, interviewing coaches, but the one with Jim barking at me with something, and I'm not, again, Jim, if you're listening or watching, I am not knocking you. You're down by 1, probably not happy with the way your team played, and we're making you wait to do the interview. So those are two of my least favorite moments in my interviewing career. Yeah,
and here you are on Sportsnet, by the way. It's you know what I mean? You're not in a broom closet, and that's the thing is I got a buddy who's he's a chief of police now who's a former broadcaster, and he's like, listen, man, after we got through those incidents, we can do anything in life because you're just sweating buckets, right? But I mean, the thing with Kent, too, is you never know how these coaches are going to go off with whatever question you ask them, right? So it can be somewhat stressful. Anything else, JT, before I let you go?
No, it's listen. We've had a great run of doing this job, Rod, and I think you only think of a couple of times where things get awkward with people. I think we've done all right in our life, but very fortunate to have the career that I've had and been able to talk to you about the awkward moments that we have, because I think people appreciate what we do when the funny stuff happens or the awkward moments that we can look back and kind of laugh at them a little bit.
Of course, well, that's in retrospect, that's what makes it fun. Jamie, appreciate you sneaking us in on a game day, and I'm listening to you guys all the time too. So keep it up. Thanks, best buddy. To Mr. Edmonds, and good luck getting into the postseason.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. I love that shirt. Go Dolphins.
There you go. Thank you. It's our year. Jamie Thomas joining us from Winnipeg. I'm not a Dolphins fan. I just like the gear. I just play one on TV. Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching the RP Show on YouTube. And don't forget, we're live daily on YouTube from noon to 2 Eastern. If you like what you see, hit subscribe. And if you like the program, check around for other segments of The Rod Pedersen Show here on YouTube.